we on? We're on an island off in the distance. Quick, row to shore. Oh, I'm gonna roll up this other window. That's Rocky Butte up there. Rocky Butte. I just figured since I'm stuck in all of this super slow traffic, I would just make a short video, a little story. That back window is still down. Oh well, I guess I'll have to deal with it. Turn that down. Long time ago, before the Max was here, there's the Max over there, crosses up there. Before they put in the Max light rail, there was just a grass, hill divider between the two sides of the 205. And I was over here in the early 90s. It would be sometime in the early 90s. I had a 78 Mustang 2 automatic with a 4-cylinder in it. And I was over here, and my tires were pretty bald on the thing. And it was winter, and it snowed, and it was iced over too when I was trying to get it iced, on my way back, because we're getting close to the river, I guess. It was real cold, and as we came up on this curve up here, which is still a ways away, but we'll be here soon, there's a little bit of an angle on the road, and it was icy enough that cars had slid down into the shoulder and were stuck there, and knocked into each other a little bit, even because they couldn't sit very well on the slight angle. And as I was coming up on it, I was like, oh, what am I going to do, And then it occurred to me that there was powder still up on the divider here in between the directions of the freeway. Up here it's a lot wider, but it was also taller. I mean, it was like, I don't know, good 8 to 10 feet higher than the road level where the dirt was, and it had been undeveloped at that time, so it was just kind of, rough grass dirt. But so as I come up on it, I was like, oh, well, if I stop, I'm going to slide to the inside too, just like they are. And in fact, I was already, in the middle of the highway, so there's no way I would have been able to not, slide down towards the left shoulder up here. And I saw that there was no tracks in the snow, and I thought, oh, well, it's powder, and if it's kind of dry, then it's probably, hasn't been driven on. It's going to be dry right down to the grass and the frozen ground underneath. And since nobody's hit it yet, I'll have some traction because I'll be the first car, even though my tires are bald. And sure enough, it worked. As I was getting up to the cars, I just gave it some gas and then went up the little embankment up onto the hill, and it was just plowing through, probably only about 10 inches of snow, but it was real powdery, so it would, kind of billow out the sides. And I was just, passing everybody in the cars that was stuck there down in there, and next thing I know, I look back and there's like 3 more people behind me following my trail through the snow. I hope that was an interesting story. That's all I got. That's the story. I'm sticking to it. I'm pretty sure it happened because it's in my memory. So, as long as the AI didn't plant that there to make me think I was living a real human life when really I'm just like Tron or something. But my name is Ron, so if you put a T in front of it, you got Tron. You can't have Tron without Ron. You can't have wrong without Ron either. You can't have erroneous, but you can't have electron. And you can't have anything that has Ron in it, you can't have if you don't have a Ron. And so Ron is a very fundamental word sound for some reason. I'm named that. I don't know why. Connection, does it mean I'm the sun god of ancient Egypt? Possibly. As far as I know, I'm not a sun god, but I do sun gaze sometimes, and it doesn't really hurt my eyes. In fact, I feel a little better afterwards. And if you look at the sun and it's and you get your eyes adjusted until you can have them fully open, and it's not trying to make you flinch and causing pain to look at it. Once your eyes adjust fully, I'm not saying do that for hours or anything, but for 5-10 minutes you'd be fine. At least I am. Once your eyes adjust, the sun looks like a purple dot and it alternates between a ring around it that seems to be going in circles, which I think looks like an Ouroboros, because they invert the colors after a while once your eyes get adjusted. The sun becomes a black dot, or a purple, really like a really dark purple to black dot, and shimmering around the outside is a white, but it's stark white, and it borders on a green, like like fluorescent green tint to it, to or yellow, kind of a yellow to fluorescent green kind of alteration of coloration. At least what I sun gazed last time I did, which was just last week. So like picture an eclipse, like a solar eclipse. When the moon's over it, and that's what the shimmery part around it looks like once your eyes become adjusted, and you get the purple dot where the sun is. And that will flicker back and forth too. The sun itself will look like the white brightness, and the outside around it will go dark purple, but then it will alternate back again. That's what I see. Anyway, here's the Rocky Butte. Check this shit out. Now, up there's a giant stone wall, and I'm gonna go up and make another video there pretty soon. It's there's old stone like railing around the road, along the edge of the road that goes up there. There's stones that have been fitted into the hillside holding it up, and there used to be a jail down here, and this is where the jail was, actually, on the other side of the freeway, right in that area. And it was big old Tartaria block building. It didn't look so impressive as far as Tinquitec or any of that stuff, but it was, you could tell it was old. And there are a couple of the buildings that are old still on the other side of this hill. They said, I can't remember the story on those ones. It looks like a camp, or I don't know how to describe it. But they're halfway in the hillside, so like they were built that way. They could have been built that way. There's a tunnel on the other side too that's a corner tunnel, so it does like probably 120 degrees of, no, more than that, probably about 180 degrees of a turn through the tunnel that's curved, and it's tiled with little square tiles. But I digress. Rocky Butte would be right here, across over there where the jail was. Up on top of the hill, there's a lot just grass with a fence around it. In the middle there's a rotating spotlight, and they say that was the yard where the inmates could go outside on their outside break, and it was up on the hill so that it could be easily seen by the guard towers. Nobody's going to escape down the hill. So that's their story. When you get up there and you look at the gate or the steps leading up to the yard, it looks like the formal grand entrance to some medieval castle. And there's even a spot where giant doors would go. And then you get up to the top, it's rather, kind of anticlimactic. It's just flat up there. I guess you could walk around. There's a couple neat things up there, an obelisk and a directional table with like points to different things you can see on clear days, which aren't so frequent anymore. But anyway, I'm just pointing it at the road there. Whoops. There's the max. So this is where I would have drove up at. Everybody was slid right to that inside edge there. And as I was like, well, I'm gonna end up with these guys here, so I just hit the gas and up there, and sure enough, it was all powdery snow. I made it to the ground, had got traction, and just hauled ass to the bridge. And when I saw my opportunity, I jumped back onto the road and kept on going. Left everybody stuck here in the ice. It was epic. You should have been there. Not really. I'm not so sure my heater was working, so. But anyway, so that's my story. I'm sticking to it. And Rocky Butte, I'm going to make a detailed Rocky Butte video because I can do boots on the ground here. I'm in Portland, that used to be a gorgeous city. You see the most recent John Levi video where he does a collection that was, I guess, recently discovered by a guy named Minor White. Minor White. Not to be confused with Canvas White. Whatever that guy's name was. Tarp White, I don't know. Minor White, and he's got like 100 and something photographs of Portland, and the windows are all painted over and stuff like that. Oh, I'm letting these people over here. He might want to get over too. Maybe not. So Minor White took all these pictures of downtown and surrounding areas, and the buildings they say are cast iron facades, and there's a lot of brick and stone work. And it's just, for 1939, it looks very, very weathered for having not been that old, right? And then the electrical looks like it was put on and as an afterthought, like there wasn't any electrical when it was built, which there technically should have been. But then, and then the Montgomery Park building is insane. There's nothing to see there now. I could go to Montgomery Park, but it's just going to look like a building that ain't going to be anything that's going to raise an eyebrow. And they're probably not going to let me into the underground tunnels from the sub-parking garage or anything like that are at the Montgomery Park building. But they're rumored to be there from my conspiratorial cousin, who has seen a lot of weird things and been a lot of strange places in the old mafia days of Portland, Oregon. That's right, mafia. My family's mafia. Well, I mean, our FIA, that means our family mafia, Everybody's family is their mafia, I guess. But my mafia family actually, was involved in some illicit things, but it's all better now in the New World Order days. There are places that you can, that regular people just don't ever see or go or know about, and that's not to say that they're good or bad or otherwise. They're just, there's a lot of places in the world and a lot of strangeness that goes on right in your own neighborhood. Don't even know it. Take care.